What if the smiling QVC host you watched for years wasn't living the life you thought she was? What if behind that warm laugh and sparkling jewelry, she was fighting battles so dark she didn't dare let anyone see them? For millions of viewers, Antonella Nester wasn't just a host, she was a friend. Her charm, her humor, her honesty, it all felt real. She wasn't a salesperson. She was the woman who made you laugh on a bad day. But when the cameras turned off, Antonella's world began to fall apart. This is the story of what really happened after she left QVC, the truth Antonella tried to hide. Antonella's journey to QVC was pure perseverance. Long before the fame, she worked in a hospital lab, drawing blood and running tests. She dreamed of being on TV, but life kept getting in the way. Then, one day, she saw QVC's open casting call and took a chance. It wasn't easy. She failed the audition twice. Most people would have quit. But Antonella wasn't most people. On her third try, she finally got it, a hosting role at QVC in 2004. And from that moment, viewers fell in love. Her personality jumped through the screen. She was funny, relatable, sometimes even clumsy, but always genuine. She talked about family, shared little life stories, and made every viewer feel like she was talking just to them. It wasn't long before she became one of QVC's most popular hosts. Her jewelry shows were fan favorites. When Antonella laughed, you laughed. When she cried, you cried. She was more than a face on TV. She was comfort, a familiar presence in the background of millions of homes. But then, after nearly 2 decades on air, something changed. It started quietly. Whispers of budget cuts, rumors of downsizing. And then came the news no one expected. In the summer of 2020, QVC began restructuring. Dozens of employees were suddenly out, and Antonella Nester was one of them. For fans, it was shocking. For Antonella, it was devastating. 17 years. Gone overnight. She later revealed that her entire department was being shut down. Her channel, QVC2, was cutting back on live programming. Her position was simply eliminated. No warning, no backup plan, just a polite goodbye. And as if fate wasn't cruel enough, her husband, Chris, lost his job around the same time. 2 paychecks disappeared. 2 lives thrown into uncertainty. At first, they tried to stay optimistic. Chris sent out more than 100 job applications, but never heard back. Antonella tried to pivot, exploring small ventures, online projects, anything. But nothing stuck. The pandemic made finding work impossible. Bills piled up, so the couple made a decision that would change everything. They sold their house, the home they'd built their lives in, and bought a used sailboat. The plan was simple: live on the boat to cut costs and start over. They called it a new adventure. But deep down, Antonella knew it was survival. Imagine leaving your beautiful home, packing up your memories, and moving into a space barely big enough to stretch your legs. That's what Antonella and Chris did. They sold furniture, said goodbye to neighbors, and set sail, not toward paradise, but toward an uncertain future. Still, Antonella kept her sense of humor. On social media, she smiled through it all, calling it her tiny home on the water. Fans admired her positivity. They thought it was brave. What they didn't see were the nights she cried herself to sleep, wondering how everything had fallen apart so fast. But life wasn't done testing her yet. A few months after leaving QVC, Antonella found a lump on her arm. She went in for tests, expecting it to be nothing. It wasn't. Doctors diagnosed her with non-Hodgkin lymphoma, a type of cancer, and during surgery to remove that tumor, they found something else: breast cancer. 2 cancers at the same time. Even the doctors were stunned. It was a double dose of bad news, Antonella said later. She shared her diagnosis publicly, but downplayed her fear. She didn't want to worry her followers. She joked about losing her hair and called chemo just another challenge. But behind the brave face, she was terrified. She started treatment in May 2021, 4 rounds of chemotherapy, followed by surgery and radiation. The side effects were brutal: the fatigue, the nausea, the pain. Yet even then, Antonella refused to complain. She said if she could still smile, then she was still winning. Life on the boat became even harder during treatment. The small cabin, the constant rocking, the lack of comfort, everything made recovery more exhausting. But she kept going. Some days she'd sit on deck wrapped in a blanket, bald from chemo, watching the sunset with her husband beside her. Those sunsets became her therapy. She said they reminded her that no matter how dark life gets, the light always comes back. But just when it seemed she was beginning to recover, tragedy struck again. In July 2021, right before her final round of chemotherapy, Chris started feeling unwell. He thought it was heartburn. It wasn't. He was having a massive heart attack. Antonella rushed him to the hospital. She was still weak from chemo, sitting in a waiting room, praying her husband would survive. The man who had been her rock through everything was suddenly fighting for his own life. Doctors found a 95% blockage in one of his arteries. He needed immediate surgery. Miraculously, he made it through. 3 days later, Antonella posted a small clip online, the two of them sitting side by side, holding hands, laughing through tears. "We can do this," Chris said, and Antonella smiled. That moment said it all. They had lost jobs, lost their home, fought cancer, faced heart failure. And yet, there they were, still together, still laughing. But even then, she refused to lose her faith. She often said, "Joy is something in your heart. No one can take that away." That became her mantra. She refused to let sadness steal her joy. Instead, she chose gratitude. She began to see her hardships as lessons. She said that losing everything showed her what truly mattered. Not houses, not careers, but love and faith. She once said, "Don't spend your life chasing things. That's garbage. The real stuff, family, friends, laughter, that's what counts." She started sharing her journey online. The highs, the lows, even the ugly parts. Fans who once watched her sell jewelry were now watching her fight for her life. They sent prayers, cards, and donations. A close friend launched a fundraiser to help cover medical costs, and within weeks, thousands of people contributed. Antonella was overwhelmed. She said, "You supported me through everything. That's priceless. There's no amount of money that can do that." And slowly, her spirit began to heal. By the end of 2021, Antonella's scans came back clear. Her cancer was in remission. She finished 16 rounds of radiation, rang the hospital bell, and walked out smiling, blasting the Rocky theme song. Her words to the nurses were classic Antonella. "I love you guys, but I don't ever want to see you again." She was finally free. Chris recovered fully from his heart attack. Their financial situation was still tight, but their faith had never been stronger, and then came the comeback no one saw coming. In 2022, Antonella returned to doing what she loved: hosting. Jewelry Television, or JTV, reached out and offered her a chance to present again. But this time she'd be doing it her way: live from her sailboat. Every Saturday night, she streamed shows called Antonella After Dark, featuring jewelry, stories, and laughter. The water rocked gently behind her, and that familiar sparkle was back in her eyes. Fans tuned in from all over the country, thrilled to see her again. It wasn't QVC, but it was pure Antonella. She also launched Silpada Saturdays and JTV Fridays, collaborating with brands she loved. Her Facebook and Instagram pages grew fast, filled with fans cheering her return. But her new content wasn't just about jewelry anymore. It was about life. She shared her thoughts on loss, hope, and the beauty of starting over. She had gone from studio lights to sunset reflections. And somehow, she looked happier than ever. Antonella and Chris still live on their sailboat with their cats. They spend their days sailing, laughing, and cherishing every simple moment. She often posts about gratitude, reminding her followers that happiness isn't about what you have, it's about who you have. She once said, "All is not lost." Far from it. And she meant it. Antonella's story is proof that even when life strips everything away, it can't touch your soul. She lost her job, her home, her health, and her child, and still found joy. She says the secret is to fill your heart with amo, those little moments of love, laughter, and light that keep you going when the darkness creeps in. Her darkest chapter revealed a truth she once tried to hide, that even she broke down, even she doubted, even she cried. But it also revealed something much stronger, that she could rebuild, reinvent, and rise again. Antonella Nester's story isn't about what she lost, it's about what she found: strength, peace, and purpose. So the next time you see her smiling on screen, remember, that smile was earned. It was carved through pain, polished by faith, and strengthened by survival. She may have lost the studio lights, but she found something brighter: her joy. And that's the truth Antonella no longer hides.